The next day, Song Qiaoyi, who usually loved to sleep in, woke up early. She rummaged through all the clothes she had brought back and picked out an off-white wool dress, paired with a long black coat. Song Qiaoyi glanced at the day's weather. Sunny. The temperature was also acceptable for a visually appealing outfit. She put on light makeup, opted for bare legs before leaving, and finished with a pair of black ankle boots. Perfect. She headed out. Song Qiaoyi wasn't afraid of the cold, that's why. In the depths of winter, she often wore short skirts, exposed her thighs that I in the past. UCC would often remind her not to dress like that, saying it could lead to rheumatism and knee pain in old age. To avoid worrying UCC, Song Qiaoyi hadn't worn a leg-bearing skirt like this in many years. Today was the first time in all those years. Song Qiaoyi left early, so naturally she wasn't late. In fact, she arrived more than 10 minutes before the agreed time. She hadn't expected Su Myukin to already be there. How early did he arrive? Aside from her mood being affected by Lu Yubai, Song Qiaoyi was usually very cheerful. The moment she saw Su Myukin, she greeted him actively. Morning. Su Myukin, morning. As she approached, Su Myukin frowned, staring at Song Qiaoyi's outfit. Song Qiaoyi noticed. She looked down at her clothes, finding nothing wrong, and asked curiously, "What's wrong with my outfit? Does it not look good?" Could it be that Su Myukin didn't like it? She didn't know when it started, but Song Qiaoyi had also begun to care about Su Myukin's impression of her, fearing there might be something he disliked. Su Myukin shook his head. "It's beautiful, very pretty, but..." Su Myukin turned slightly, pointing a thumb over his shoulder. "It's just not quite suitable for today's ride." A ride? Song Qiaoyi followed the direction of Su Myukin's thumb, and two black motorcycles were prominently parked not far away. Song Qiaoyi's eyes lit up. Motorcycles? How can there be here? Song Qiaoyi loved motorcycles. Don't let her delicate appearance, like a pampered princess, deceive you. Her childhood hobbies were quite extensive and adventurous. She suddenly fell in love with motorcycles during college AT that time. She often pestered Lu Yubai to ride with her, but he wasn't interested. He even said, "Why would girls play with motorcycles? Those are for disreputable people." Lu Yubai didn't like such dangerous activities. In his view, girls should enjoy arts like music, chess calligraphy, painting, and dancing. Song Qiaoyi was sad about this for a long time. Thinking about it now, the last time she rode a motorcycle was 3 years, ago AT this moment. Song Qiaoyi was absolutely thrilled, her eyes and brows radiating joy and brightness. She couldn't wait. But suddenly remembering her clothes, Song Qiaoyi's lips parted slightly. "Why didn't you say so earlier? How can I ride in this dress?" She tugged at her skirt. The light in her eyes quickly dimmed, as if she truly realized that a dress and high-heeled ankle boots were not suitable for riding a motorcycle. She couldn't help but scrunch up her small face in disappointment. She suddenly felt a little disgusted with herself for spontaneously choosing to wear a dress today. Her usual outfits were generally pants-based. Su Myukin chuckled. "I did it on purpose. If I'd told you, how would I have gotten you to wear the outfit I specially prepared for you?" Eh. Song Qiaoyi turned her gaze, a little surprised. She became excited again. "Really? You prepared clothes and shoes for me?" Su Myukin smiled languidly, a hint of indulgence shimmering carelessly in the corners of his eyes. He glanced at her from the corner of his eye, handed her a bag of clothes, and pointed to the changing room not far away. "Go change first." Su Myukin had specifically researched it. This country park was Yunqing's most famous spot for riding. Not only could one ride motorcycles there, but also off-road vehicles. But Su Myukin knew that compared to off-road vehicles, Song Qiaoyi would definitely prefer and want to cruise around on a motorcycle more. Song Qiaoyi quickly changed into her biker gear. Just a moment ago, she looked like an elegant and noble good girl. Now, she had transformed into a hot girl in leather, with a hint of her midriff showing, paired with a metal belt, tight shorts, and a pair of black patent leather long boots. Song Qiaoyi leaned against the bike, holding a black helmet, and tapped the tank. Her fair swan-like neck was dazzling under the sunlight. She looked stunning to both men and women. 10 minutes later, Su Myukin also changed his clothes. Dressed in black biker gear, he exuded an extreme sense of untamed allure, his broad-shouldered, narrow-waisted physique appearing even more striking. Su Myukin walked out in his boots, stood in front of the other motorcycle, bent his neck to grip the Velcro strap of his gloves with his teeth, put on both riding gloves, then swung his long legs neatly onto the bike. Su Myukin put on his helmet, slid down the visor. "Are you ready?" Song Qiaoyi's mounting of the bike was also extremely skilled. She put on her helmet. Her flexibility was naturally strong. As her long legs swung over, it was like a high kick, and in the blink of an eye, she was steadily on the bike. Song Qiaoyi slid down her visor, her voice muffled. "I've been waiting for you for ages." Su Myukin, "Then let's go." Then came the vroom, vroom, vroom of the engines roaring to life. Su Myukin and Song Qiaoyi sped off with a fierce burst. The country park had two sections, one of which was primarily a coastal road, and Song Qiaoyi and Su Myukin rode along this road. The entire road was nearly 10 kilometers long, and at its halfway point was a sea of flowers, a place both for appreciation and rest. Su Myokin and Song Qiaoyi stopped here. They parked their bikes. The sea of flowers bordered the sea, sparkling with dazzling colors. The various colored roses swaying in the wind, like Monet's garden embracing the Atlantic Ocean. Su Myokin took off his helmet, supporting himself with one foot on the ground. Tired? Want to rest? Song Qiaoyi also took off her helmet. Okay. She dismounted. Song Qiaoyi charmingly lifted her face, eyelids lightly closed, embracing the gentle breeze, and stretched out her arms, immersing herself in the sea of flowers. Woohoo! She exclaimed, excitedly rolling over and joyfully swinging her legs in the air. So happy. Su Myokin's lips curved slightly. He lowered his gaze, smiling as he looked at Song Qiaoyi, and sat down supporting himself with one hand on the ground, holding two drinks. He handed her the sugar-free oolong tea. Did you get all out? Song Qiaoyi suddenly opened her eyes. She lay in the sea of flowers, propping her chin on one hand, tilted her head to stare at Su Myokin for a moment. Then she sat up and took the drink. So, did you specifically bring me out here today to ride motorcycles and blow off steam? Su Myokin neither confirmed nor denied. His eyebrows subtly twitching, he pinched his bottle of lemonade with his fingertips, bent his knuckles to twist open the cap, then lifted it and took a large gulp, his sexy Adam's apple bobbing up and down. If you haven't let it all out yet, Su Myokin said, patting his shoulder with the bottle, here, lean on me. No way. Song Qiaoyi mumbled sweetly. She opened the oolong tea, tilted her head back, and took a few sips. Even though it was sugar-free, Song Qiaoyi still tasted sweetness. Sweetness in her heart. She proudly straightened her shoulders and neck. Thank you. I feel much better. Too many things had happened recently, and Song Qiaoyi's mood had been at an all-time low. Although she hadn't said anything or complained, Su Myokin had still noticed. That's why he brought her out to vent. Su Myokin didn't explicitly state it, but Song Qiaoyi instantly understood, as though he was comforting her. Su Myokin. Song Qiaoyi suddenly turned her gaze. He carelessly swayed the drink in his hand, lazily tilting his head back to look at her. Song Qiaoyi's eyelashes fluttered, a hint of interest seemingly shimmering in her eyes. I think I've realized something. You seem to understand me even better than Lu Yubai. This was Qiao Yi's first time taking the initiative to mention Lu Yubai's name in front of Su Myokin. Su Myokin's wrist, which had been swaying, paused. Feigning ignorance, he deliberately asked, Lu Yubai, is that the person from the hotel who captivated you so much that day? This is the first time you brought him up on your own. Captivated? He didn't notice Su Myokin's change in expression. She let out a scoff. Perhaps. I moved into their home when I was little and grew up with him. His grandfather was very fond of me and arranged an engagement for us when we were children. Although he never openly rejected me, nor did he openly acknowledge me, I always firmly believed that with our years of childhood friendship, slowly, one day he would come to like me. She paused, recalling what Jiang Xinyu had said that day. The smile on Qiao Yi's face vanished instantly. I never expected him to get a girlfriend so quickly, and my former good friend at that. How could I have been so foolish back then, introducing other women to him? I also never expected him to hurt me again, and again for the sake of another woman. What I least expected was that in his heart, he only ever saw me as a tool to be used. Though a faint smile still lingered on Qiao Yi's lips, it looked utterly pathetic. This was the first time Qiao Yi had poured out her heart to an outsider, but she felt much better for having spoken aloud. A moment later, Su Myokin scoffed disdainfully. Then he's really not much of a childhood friend. Haven't you heard the saying? A childhood sweetheart can't beat a fated encounter. I'm not discussing love with you, Qiao Yi retorted, glancing sideways. She bent her legs, lazily resting her head between her knees. Childhood sweethearts can't beat fated encounters, huh? But thinking about it, it really does seem to be the case. Wasn't that exactly what happened with Lu Yubai and Jiang Xinyu? Her years of childhood friendship with Lu Yubai simply couldn't compare to Jiang Xinyu's fated encounter of just a few months. How truly laughable. He hugged her legs, turning her head to look at Su Myokin. But seriously, if it were a different girl now, someone like you would definitely be the dazzling presence in someone else's youth. Do you believe that? Su Myokin let out a soft hiss of mild displeasure. He lightly tapped the sticker on the bottle with his fingertip. Someone else's? So, are you saying that if it were back then, I still wouldn't have impressed you? He looked up at the sky, her smile a little helpless. No, it's not that. Back then, didn't I already have Lu Yubai? To be honest with you, I had always assumed since childhood that I would marry him. In that case, you would definitely have been a complete waste in my eyes. He wasn't wrong. Ever since she moved into the Lu family home, she had never paid attention to any other boys. Her heart and eyes were filled with only Lu Yubai. Besides Lu Yubai, the The person she had interacted with the most was probably Su Mukon, whom she had only known for a month. Qiao Yi had always been a very sensible person. She had already tacitly accepted her relationship with Lu Yubai. So even if Lu Yubai didn't acknowledge it, she always proactively maintained a safe distance from other men. Su Mukon was the male friend Qiao Yi had interacted with the most in recent years, aside from Lu Yubai. Qiao Yi rested her head between her bent knees once more. But you quickly answer my question from yesterday. Someone as excellent as you, why would it be me? Me excellent? Su Mukon leaned back, one arm loosely draped over his knee, the other propping him up, bearing his weight. He gently swayed the drink bottle, slowly recounting. That year, at the entrance of your school's taekwondo club, I saw you standing up for someone. I wonder how there could be such a foolish, fearless girl. Chow, he let out a soft, murmuring. You saw me at the taekwondo club entrance? I don't remember it at all. Su Mukon took a few gulps from his drink with one hand. Yes, I also saw you cheering for others wholeheartedly during competitions. Su Mukon put down the drink, leaning back with both hands on the ground, tilting his head up. At that time, some unpleasant things were happening around me. That day, I happened to be at your school, and your cheers of encouragement for others inspired me. That's why I later participated as a life-drawing model for your class. Just to get to know you, Xiao Yi asked. So you especially came to our school for part-time work? Yes. It's just a shame that back then, your eyes were only on the pen in your hand. You didn't notice that my gaze was fixed on you the entire time. Su Mukon said this while looking at Xiao Yi, and there seemed to be a hint of jealousy in his tone. The object of his jealousy was a pen. Xiao Yi felt a little flustered by his intense gaze and quickly shifted her eyes, just happening to see the two motorcycles parked not far away. She then asked, So, how did you know I like motorcycles? Su Mukon answered truthfully, Your moments. Her moments? Xiao Yi remembered that she had indeed posted pictures of herself riding motorcycles in her moments, and more than once. But those were at least 4 or 5 years ago. Xiao Yi was someone who loved sharing her life on moments, and her privacy settings weren't restricted, so everything was visible. To read through all her moments would take at least an hour or so. Rather than saying Su Mukon understood her better, it was more accurate to say he was more willing to spend time getting to know her than Lu Yubai. So, this was also something you saw in my moments, right? Xiao, he shook the drink bottle in her hand. S.U. Mukon. Yes. That explained it. This brand of sugar-free oolong tea was Xiao Yi's absolute favorite, a drink she always stocked up on when living abroad. It was her number one. But after returning to Yun City, she had searched through countless malls, big and small, and hadn't been able to find this brand of sugar-free oolong tea. Xiao Yi had even been upset about it for quite some time. She was curious where Su Mukon had bought it. Where did you get it? I've searched all over Yun City and couldn't find it. That's a secret. Su Mukon loved to keep people guessing. He smiled. That way, the next time you want to drink, you'll think of me. Don't be like that. Just tell me. The more he kept her in the dark, the more Xiao Yi's heart itched with curiosity. Unknowingly, she was being led on by Su Mukon, yet she was enjoying every moment of it. Su Mukon casually turned his head, but his gaze was sharply focused. Now that you know the whole story, can I ask you to seriously consider me? Huh. Xiao Yi quickly averted her gaze. She turned her eyes back to Su Mukon in surprise, seeing him lift his head again, his Adam's apple prominent. Su Mukon's Adam's apple bobbed twice. His clearly defined fingers tightened, clenching the drink in his hand. A moment later, he lowered his gaze and looked back at Xiao Yi, staring deeply. I will do better than him. Xiao Yi's heart pounded a little. He would do better than Lu Yubai? Would he really do better than Lu Yubai? For some reason, she believed Su Mukon, because at least so far, he truly had done better than Lu Yubai. Much better. Xiao Yi's lips parted slightly. She stared at Su Mukon in a daze, as if a breeze from Saram Lake had stirred a ripple in her heart, moistening a spirit that had long been dormant. The two looked at each other. A subtle, ambiguous magnetic field was inexplicably drawn between them. Just then, a sudden voice came from behind. Song Qiaoyi almost instantly disengaged from the atmosphere, her gaze flickering as she avoided eye contact, seizing the opportunity to turn her head and look in the other direction. She saw Jiang Xinyu with her arm around Lu Yubai's waist, and parked beside them was Lu Yubai's newly bought tent-style sports car. They happened to be passing by the Sea of Roses. Unexpectedly, they ran into Song Qiaoyi. Jiang Xinyu quickly hooked her arm through Lu Yubai's, leaning her head on his shoulder. What a coincidence. I didn't expect to see you here. Jiang Xinyu pulled Lu Yubai along, and the two walked toward Song Qiaoyi. She craned her neck to look at the man hidden behind Song Qiaoyi, smiling gently. Aren't you going to introduce him? Lu Yubai immediately narrowed his eyes and looked over. He was quite curious to see what kind of person this was, to be worthy of making his emotions fluctuate that night. Jiang Xinyu was even more incredibly curious about this. After all, she knew Song Qiaoyi's past thoroughly, too aware of how Song Qiaoyi used to follow Lu Yubai's lead, with no other men around her. The man who had become the focus, however, seemed not to care. Xu Mukin only showed his side, his face blocked by Song Qiaoyi. His well-defined fingers still held an unfinished drink, which he casually swayed twice. Are you that curious? Lu Yubai's pupils slightly constricted. He just felt that this voice seemed somewhat familiar. Su Mukin seemed quite willing to play along with these two. He pushed himself up with one hand, tilted his head back to finish the last bit of his drink, then expertly flicked his wrist, tossing the empty bottle precisely into a roadside trash can. Asterisk clang. Asterisk. Following the sound of metal colliding that Su Mukin turned his body, but Song Qiaoyi immediately got ahead of him, shielding Su Mukin with her own body. Song Qiaoyi wasn't short, standing at 1.72 meters. Su Mukin looked down at her, puzzled, his face perfectly hidden by Song Qiaoyi. Jiang Xinyu and Lu Yubai stood a bit far, unable to see clearly. Although Su Mukin was puzzled, he respected Song Qiaoyi's choice. She must have her own reasons. Since she wasn't ready yet, he could wait. Su Mukin casually put his arm around Song Qiaoyi's shoulder, pulling her into his embrace, while his other hand raised high, giving a small wave towards Lu Yubai and Jiang Xinyu. The two walked toward the motorcycle. Before Su Mukin and Song Qiaoyi could get far, Lu Yubai shook off Jiang Xinyu's hand, rushed after them, and grabbed Song Qiaoyi's wrist. Su Mukin was still holding Song Qiaoyi's other hand. Due to inertia, he instinctively turned his head, but he didn't let go. Song Qiaoyi was caught in the middle, pulled by the two men, one on each side. Song Qiaoyi, don't leave. You need to explain yourself clearly. Who is this man? Lu Yubai was overly agitated, unconsciously tightening his grip on Song Qiaoyi's hand, squeezing her painfully. Song Qiaoyi winced in pain, her eyebrows tightly furrowed, twisting her wrist, trying to break free from Lu Yubai. It hurt so much, Lu Yubai, let go. The moment Su Mukin heard Song Qiaoyi say she was in pain, he immediately let go without a word. But Lu Yubai still had no intention of letting go. He tightened his grip even more. Because Su Mukin had suddenly let go, Song Qiaoyi was yanked directly towards him. I won't let go unless you explain yourself clearly. Song Qiaoyi struggled. The skin on her grabbed wrist became redder and redder from her constant struggling and friction. Su Mukin turned his head to the side, his voice suppressed and low. Let go. Even with just a side profile, he exuded a king-like demeanor. At the simple two words, let go, Lu Yubai visibly froze. Then Lu Yubai reacted, responding defiantly. I won't let go. This is between her and me. It has nothing to do with an outsider like you. Su Mukin's voice dropped even lower, laced with anger. She told you to let go. Didn't you hear her? Can't you see she's in pain? Lu Yubai was dismissive, still feeling that not letting go meant he had won. You were the one who let go first. You have no right to tell me what to do. Su Mukin was about to move, but Song Qiaoyi stopped him, shaking her head. She knew Lu Yubai's temper all too well. If Su Mukin were to get into an argument with him now, Lu Yubai would definitely not give up. Might as well let her handle it. Song Qiaoyi forcefully shook off Lu Yubai's hand. He let go immediately just because he heard me say it hurt, because he was afraid I was in pain. But what about you, Lu Yubai? She raised a hand that Lu Yubai had just gripped, the bright red marks on her wrist particularly conspicuous. I said I was in pain many times. Did you even listen? A breeze stirred. Song Qiaoyi's hair, disheveled by the wind, partially obscured her reddened eyes. Lu Yubai, can you stop being so childish? You say he's an outsider, but aren't we outsiders to each other too? Don't forget Jiang Xinyu is your girlfriend. She pointed towards Jiang Xinyu. Is it appropriate for you to leave her standing there alone and then get entangled with me here? Song Qiaoyi could see. She saw Jiang Xinyu standing not far away, her face extremely grim, the smile long gone from her lips. Lu Yubai also knew it wasn't appropriate, but he didn't know what was wrong with himself. Seeing Song Qiaoyi with another man firsthand, he couldn't control his temper and suddenly became so agitated. Lu Yubai stood dumbfounded. Su Mukin gently blew a few breaths onto Song Qiaoyi's reddened wrist. The cool air made her aching, hot wrist feel much better. Then, Su Mukin gently held Song Qiaoyi's wrist, carefully avoiding the red area. Your wrist hurts. Don't ride by yourself anymore. Safety first. I'll take you back. Song Qiaoyi didn't refuse Su Mukin's intimate touch. This greatly angered Lu Yubai. He not only witnessed Song Qiaoyi being taken away by another man, but also watched her get onto another man's seat, her arms around his waist as they left. Lu Yubai watched their retreating backs, his hands, hanging at his sides, clenched into fist. It was him. Lu Yubai had already found the man's voice familiar, as if he'd heard it somewhere before. Just now. He had seen the man's face. IT was indeed the man from the hospital that day. Lu Yubai couldn't understand how the man Song Qiaoyi spoke could be him. How could it be him? It was already 10 o'clock at night when Su Myukin dropped Song Qiaoyi home. It was already 10 o'clock at night when Su Myukin dropped Song Qiaoyi home. In the afternoon, Su Myukin was truly worried and insisted on taking Song Qiaoyi to the hospital for a checkup. Only after repeated confirmations that her wrist was fine did he finally relax. As they were nearing her apartment building, Song Qiaoyi suddenly called out to Su Myukin, "Stop the car." Song Qiaoyi had seen it. She saw Lu Yubai's car parked downstairs at the apartment building. Song Qiaoyi had changed the main gate password earlier, so Lu Yubai definitely couldn't get in. If she got out now, she would surely run into Lu Yubai either at the entrance or by his car. She also knew that if she saw Lu Yubai now, given his temper, he would certainly start blaming her for everything. Therefore, Song Qiaoyi didn't want to see him. Seeing that Song Qiaoyi hadn't gotten out for a while, Su Myukin followed her gaze. "What's wrong? Do you recognize that car?" Song Qiaoyi nodded. "That's Lu Yubai's car." "Then you—" Before Su Myukin could finish his sentence, Song Qiaoyi interrupted him, saying somewhat childishly, "Su Myukin, I don't want to go back tonight." She had spoken too quickly, and Song Qiaoyi realized she had once again said something unclear and misleading. She explained again, No. What I mean is, I don't want to see him tonight. I know his temper too well. It's all right. Wherever you want to go, I'll go with you." Su Myukin's voice carried a hint of suppressed emotion, but Song Qiaoyi was preoccupied and didn't notice it. Song Qiaoyi glanced at the time. IT was already almost 11 at night. She shook her head. Song Qiaoyi was very tired from today's outing. She opened her phone and searched for nearby hotels. She picked the closest one and asked Su Myukin to take her there. The Marriott Hotel. Song Qiaoyi refused Su Myukin's offer to help her check in. She felt their current relationship status made it inappropriate. Su Myukin walked Song Qiaoyi to the door. He stood at the entrance, not going inside. "It's late, get some rest." Song Qiaoyi stood at the room door, holding onto the doorframe and revealing half of her body. "Su Myukin, thank you for taking me out today. I had a great time. It's late, you should go back and rest too." "Good." Before he could finish the words good night, Su Myukin suddenly saw black and collapsed toward the hotel room door. "Su Myukin." Song Qiaoyi cried out his name. She reacted quickly, flung open the door, and caught him just as he was about to hit the door. Her small frame struggled to support Su Myukin's large body. Song Qiaoyi leaned her body against the doorframe, using the leverage to support Su Myukin. She patted him and called his name a few times. She received no response. Song Qiaoyi didn't know why he, who had been fine, had suddenly collapsed, but she knew this couldn't go on. This was a hotel, after all. What if someone passed their room door later and saw them in this compromising position? That would be terrible. Song Qiaoyi took a deep breath. She tried to move Su Myukin back into the hotel room, but she had severely overestimated her own strength. After only a few steps, while supporting his shoulders, her strength gave out, and she could no longer support Su Myukin's entire body. She tumbled down, her head moving towards the floor. Fortunately, the hotel floor was covered with thick, plush carpet, which provided some cushioning, so Song Qiaoyi didn't fall too hard. Song Qiaoyi rubbed her backside and her head. Just as she was about to get up, the next second, Su Myukin fell heavily on top of her. Their current posture, one on top of the other, was intimately seamless and incredibly ambiguous. The hotel corridor had heating. Song Qiaoyi had already taken off her coat when she first came in. Now she was only wearing a dress, with only the thin fabric of her dress separating them. Song Qiaoyi felt an unnatural heat radiating from Su Myukin's body. Song Qiaoyi furrowed her brow. Now she wanted to move, but dared not. Song Qiaoyi shook Su Myukin's body. "Su Myukin, wake up quickly. Get up, what's wrong with you?" No response. Song Qiaoyi increased the force of her shaking. Hey, Su Myukin, what's wrong? Don't scare me. Wake up." Still no response. Song Qiaoyi started to panic. "Hey, Su Myukin, this isn't funny at all. Wake up quickly." Still no response. Song Qiaoyi was completely panicked. "Su Myukin, don't scare me." No matter how Song Qiaoyi called out and patted him from beneath him, Su Myukin remained with his eyes tightly shut, unresponsive. The bright moonlight streamed in through the window. Only then did Song Qiaoyi clearly see Su Myukin's face, pale and bloodless, almost merging with the moonlight, and his chest was rising and falling irregularly. Most importantly, Su Myukin seemed to be in a deep coma, completely unconscious. Song Qiaoyi wasn't stupid. She knew that at this moment, she should call for an ambulance to take Su Myukin to the hospital immediately. But where was her phone? Song Qiaoyi remembered that the first thing she did upon entering the room was to place her phone and bag together on the hotel room table. Song Qiaoyi craned her neck and looked somewhat helplessly at her phone on the table. So close yet out of reach. She sighed. She glanced at the time on her wristwatch. That IT was already past midnight. ate tea this hour. The hotel guests were probably all asleep. It would probably be difficult for anyone to discover them. Moreover, Song Qiaoyi didn't know what condition Su Myukin was in, and she dared not wait. No other way, for now. The only plan was to search for Su Myukin's phone on him. With her hand awkwardly behind her, she cautiously fell along the outer side of Su Myukin's pants by touch. She dared not feel any further inside, for fear of accidentally touching something else. Song Qiaoyi felt the left side. Nothing. She switched to the right side. There it was. Song Qiaoyi prepared to reach in and pull it out, but Su Myukin's prone position was pressing down on it. Song Qiaoyi tried for a long time, but couldn't pull out his phone. Su Myukin was no easy case. Perhaps due to discomfort, he let out a low groan, and his body involuntarily twitched a few times. His previously splayed thighs closed together, pinning Song Qiaoyi's fair thigh between them. Su Myukin was wearing jeans today. His belt's metal buckle was pressing right against Song Qiaoyi, grinding against her and causing sharp pain. Song Qiaoyi's body trembled involuntarily. This couldn't go on. Forget it. Song Qiaoyi hardened her heart and gritted her teeth. She reached her hand deeper into his pants pocket, intending to pull out his phone with one swift, strong motion. The next second, Song Qiaoyi's face flushed crimson. Her fumbling little hand suddenly froze. Song Qiaoyi. A soft, yielding sensation. What she just touched. Fortunately, it was just a false alarm. After Song Qiaoyi confirmed it, she realized she had touched the soft flesh on the inside of Su Myukin's thigh. She breathed a sigh of relief. She thought she'd touched something else. But she had to admit, the feel of Su Myukin's inner thigh when she squeezed was really good, firm with clear lines, muscular when undressed, lean when dressed. She couldn't resist touching it a few more times. It felt so good. She liked it. No. She was really exasperated with herself. How could she be playing around at a time like this? Song Qiaoyi started trying to get Su Myukin's phone again. To ensure success this time, Song Qiaoyi used all her might, pushing Su Myukin's body up with her thigh. With a gap created, Song Qiaoyi finally managed to pull out Su Myukin's phone. She immediately dialed the hospital. As the 120 emergency medical personnel arrived, Song Qiaoyi's anxious heart could finally rest. In the ambulance, Song Qiaoyi looked at Su Myukin's bloodless face. To say she wasn't worried would be a lie. All the way, Song Qiaoyi couldn't help but repeatedly ask the nurse in the ambulance if Su Myukin was all right. Each time, the nurse patiently comforted her, reassuring her. Although she didn't know the exact situation, she told Song Qiaoyi that no matter what it was, as long as it was discovered early, he would be discharged healthy in a few days. Only then did Song Qiaoyi breathe a sigh of relief. However, she feared she'd never forget the doctors' and nurses' half-smiles when they saw her pinned beneath Su Myukin. It was utterly mortifying. After treatment, the doctor told her that Su Myukin was fine and had been transferred to a ward to rest well. He also advised her that the patient needed a light diet recently, particularly avoiding spicy or stimulating foods, as well as tobacco and alcohol. Song Qiaoyi took care of Su Myukin in the ward all night. As dawn approached, she was so tired that she dozed off. The first ray of morning sun streamed into the ward. After a night, Su Myukin finally woke up. He felt as if he had experienced a very long dream. In his dream, he saw the girl he had been searching for years, but he couldn't grasp her. The pungent smell of disinfectant permeated the air. That smell awakened Su Myukin's consciousness, and he realized he was in a hospital. He couldn't remember how he got to the hospital. He only recalled that after dinner with Song Qiaoyi last night, his head started hurting unusually shortly after, and his consciousness was sometimes clear, sometimes hazy. Then he also remembered that Song Qiaoyi didn't want to go back to her apartment. So he took her to a hotel, stood at the door, and said a few words to her. And after that, he couldn't remember what happened. Just as Su Myukin was about to get up, he felt as if something was holding on to him. He turned his head and saw Song Qiaoyi asleep, slumped over the hospital bed. She was breathing evenly, her hand still tightly clutching the corner of his clothes, as if she was worried something bad would happen to him. Her slender body occasionally twitched slightly, and the dark circles under her eyes were proof that she had stayed up all night caring for him. Su Myukin remained silent, gently stroking Song Qiaoyi's head with an indulgent expression, quietly watching her as she slept. What a silly woman. Su Myukin carefully removed her small hands clutching him, got up, picked up the quilt from the bed, went to her side, and gently covered her with it. His movements were very light, afraid of waking her. Su Myukin saw the medical chart hanging by the bedside. He picked it up and flipped through it. Four large characters were conspicuously written on it. Food poisoning. How could he, perfectly fine, suddenly get food poisoning? Su Myukin recalled last night. Song Qiaoyi had said she wanted to take him to a particularly delicious restaurant. When they arrived, he realized it was a small roadside stall. It was his first time eating street food. But Su Myukin noticed Song Qiaoyi seemed to really like the place and not want to dampen her enthusiasm. He sat down and ate with her. Song Qiaoyi ordered many dishes, but he only ordered a plate of stir-fried beans, as his mother used to make them for him often. At the time, while eating, Su Myukin felt that the beans tasted as if they weren't fully cooked. As it turned out, that plate of beans from last night was indeed undercooked. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in the hospital now. Fortunately, he had stopped Song Qiaoyi at the time and prevented her from eating that plate of beans. Otherwise, both of them would be lying in the hospital ward now. The nurse pushed the door open at this moment. She was there to do her rounds. As soon as she entered, Su Myukin put a finger to his lips and shushed her. The nurse immediately understood, lowering her voice. You're awake? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere else? Su Myukin shook his head. So it's confirmed I was poisoned? The nurse smiled and replied, Yes. If your girlfriend had discovered the abnormality in time yesterday and brought you to the hospital, your situation wouldn't have been very optimistic. The nurse had been in the ambulance that went to the scene yesterday. She saw how anxious Song Qiaoyi was at the time, not even bothering to grab her belongings, and came to the hospital without a moment's delay. Su Myukin looked at the sleeping Song Qiaoyi, a trace of tenderness flowing in his eyes. The nurse examined Su Myukin again, confirmed he was fine, left some pills, and advised him that he still needed to be hospitalized for 3 more days for observation. The sound of the nurse closing the door woke Song Qiaoyi. She groggily opened her eyes, yawned, and realized a blanket had appeared on her at some point. When she looked at the bed, Song Qiaoyi realized Su Myukin had already woken up, had covered her with a blanket, and was now standing behind her. Song Qiaoyi immediately became alert. She quickly stood up and stepped forward to ask, You're awake? Are you okay? I'll call the doctor right away. Hurry and lie down. The nurse just came by and said I'm fine. You should go back to sleep for a bit. Seeing the dark circles under Song Qiaoyi's eyes, Su Myukin felt a pang of heartache. Song Qiaoyi asked, What did the nurse say? She said I'm fine and just need to stay in the hospital for 2 more days for observation. Hearing this, Song Qiaoyi breathed a sigh of relief and blamed herself. It's good that you're all right. Don't blame me. If I hadn't taken you to that restaurant last night, you wouldn't have gotten food poisoning. Su Myukin had no intention of blaming her. He comforted her. It's not your fault. How could you have predicted something like this would happen? Song Qiaoyi yawned several times. You should lie down and rest more. I can also rest easy and nap on the sofa for a bit. Su Myukin, you go sleep on the bed. Song Qiaoyi repeatedly refused. No, no, I'll just nap on the sofa for a bit. Song Qiaoyi curled up on the sofa. She was really sleepy, having pulled an all-nighter, and as soon as she touched the sofa, she immediately fell asleep. The ward was so quiet that her breathing could be heard. This woman was really incredibly foolish. Sunlight streamed through the white gauze curtains onto her face, creating a faint blush. The corners of her mouth were slightly upturned, and she lay quietly on the sofa, like a doll. Su Myukin was captivated by the sight. Song Qiaoyi let out a soft groan, her eyebrows furrowing slightly, and she curled up a bit more, truly like a small cat. So clearly proud and stubborn, yet able to soften one's heart. Was she having a nightmare? Su Myukin picked her up, gently placed her on the bed, and tucked her in with the quilt. So light. She was much lighter than Su Myukin had imagined. Moreover, when he held her, it was all bones, rough on the hands. Before leaving the ward, Su Myukin thoughtfully moved the air conditioner's vent away, so Song Qiaoyi wouldn't catch a cold. In the stairwell outside the ward, Su Myukin made a phone call to Shi Yan. When Shi Yan received Su Myukin's call, he was still groggy and half asleep, and the sound of a woman groaning could be heard beside him. Shi Yan's tone was somewhat complaining. Boss, do you know what time it is that you're calling? Click. Su Myukin flicked open his lighter. In the dark stairwell, a blue flame ignited. He lit a cigarette, taking a drag. Let's talk. How's the investigation? I asked you to progressing? Amidst the swirling smoke, his handsome face was different from usual. A sharp, fierce expression showed in his eyes. Shi Yan yawned. Almost. We found out that person has already returned to the country, and we'll have news very soon. Hurry it up. Su Myukin stubbed out his cigarette, pressing the butt into the ashtray. Also, I'm stuck at the hospital right now. Go buy a few sets of clothes and bring them over. Shi Yan refused without hesitation. No way. Not changing clothes for a few days won't kill me. Women's clothes. Shi Yan